Welcome to my channel Daily Bulletin News. The Body and Soul cast receive delicious treats the day the soap premieres, and Leo gets a blast from his past. At the DeMera mansion, EJ opens a box of 2 cupcakes sent over to celebrate the premiere of Body and Soul with the initials B and S written in icing on them. He hands one box to Johnny, who still feels guilty about cheating on Chanel. EJ tells him not to beat himself up over that. Johnny says the universe is helping him do that, as Chanel invited Joy over for dinner last night. EJ tells Johnny to stop wearing his guilt on his sleeve and keep his mouth shut, as Chanel doesn't need to know about any of this. Chanel walks in and asks, Chanel doesn't need to know about what? EJ explains that he and Johnny were discussing his disagreement with her mother over a case, and he didn't want to add to her worries. He says he'll repair the damage with Paulina. EJ says he'll leave them alone so Johnny can continue to make up for being a fool on set. Johnny tells Chanel he loves what she did with the cupcakes. Chanel had no part in sending them. She wishes there were more than 2 cupcakes, as she invited Joy over to watch the premiere with them. At the Brady pub, Kate meets with Joy, who is learning her lines for her first show. Kate thinks she needs to take time for fun and asks if she has met anyone in town yet. She says just the cast, and Chanel had her over for dinner last night. Roman brings over a package for Kate. It's another cupcake to celebrate their first streaming episode. She wonders who sent it. Kate heads off to make some calls about the cupcake, and Roman sits down and talks with Joy. He hopes the room is to her liking and that Johnny is treating her well on set. Joy says Johnny is the best. Joy then gets a text from Chanel inviting her over to watch the premiere. At Abe and Paulina's, Abe also receives a cupcake, and he and Paulina wonder who sent it, as the card is unsigned. Abe gets a call from Kate, and they discuss the mysterious cupcakes. Abe invites her and Roman over to watch the show, and she accepts. Kate and Roman soon show up to watch the soap's premiere and have brought champagne. Paulina gives the cupcake to Abe to chow down on, which he does. He says it's incredible. He feels guilty that he's the only one eating the cupcake, but Paulina says he deserves it for his hard work on the soap. They sit down to watch the show and toast it. They finish the soap, and they all think it was a smash. Paulina is so proud of her Chanel and can't wait to find out what happens next. They toast to the show again. At the DeMera mansion, Johnny wishes Chanel hadn't invited Joy over and asks her to uninvite her, as he wants to watch the show in bed with her. She feels bad, as Joy has nothing to do today. EJ enters, bringing Joy, who is at their front door. Chanel and Joy sit on the couch, and Chanel insists Johnny sit between them. EJ says he'll watch the show when he gets home and asks if anyone is going to eat the cupcakes. Chanel passes, so EJ takes one of them before heading out. Johnny decides to eat the other. They finish the episode, and Joy tells Chanel she was great. Chanel thanks her and says she owes it all to her husband. Joy has met everyone from the episode except the actress who plays Charlemagne. They fill her in on what happened with Hattie, who put a curse on the show after she was fired. Joy thinks she should go, as she has lines to learn and needs to call her mom. Joy heads out, and Chanel thinks that Joy is acting weird and worries about her leaving abruptly. She asks Johnny to go after her and check on her. Johnny goes after Joy, telling her she shouldn't have accepted Chanel's invitation. He states they can't keep doing this, as his guilt is eating him up. Joy reminds him of his promise not to say anything to Chanel. Johnny says it's the promise he broke to Chanel that's killing him, and he doesn't know how he'll make this right. Johnny returns to the living room and tells Chanel that Joy is fine, and she's just really eager to learn her lines. She thanks him for checking on her, as she also looks over her lines on her tablet. She talks about how if Arrow had told Faith the truth about what happened from the beginning, they may have been able to get over it, but the cover-up is so much worse than the crime. A shirtless Alex opens his door to Bonnie, who has boxes of cupcakes as well. Bonnie thought she'd come over and watch the premiere of the show together. Alex wonders who sent the cupcakes, but Bonnie says the card only says, "From your B&S family." She thinks it has to be Leo, who has a sweet tooth. She also believes he's lonely, which is why there are so many mentions of desserts in the script. She thinks Leo's drowning his soul in sweets right now. Alex thinks Leo would want them to know he sent them, so Bonnie suggests maybe they're from Kate and Abe. Alex still believes the anonymous thing is bizarre. Alex goes to bite into a cupcake, but Bonnie stops him as she has a bad feeling. She says, "I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but what if it's poisoned?" Alex asks who would do that. Bonnie says it could be Hattie Adams, who put a curse on the show. Bonnie refuses to chance it and throws the cupcakes out. Alex puts on a shirt, and Bonnie suggests they invite Stephanie over. Alex says they need their space, and she's probably doing a lot of press right now. They finish the show and praise one another's acting skills. Bonnie decides she needs to get going and learn her lines for next week. Alex thanks her for coming over. Later, Alex takes the cupcakes out of the trash and digs into one, thinking Bonnie's just being paranoid. Leo wakes up in bed and is shocked to find Javi next to him. Javi speaks Spanish to him, and Leo tries to translate it. Javi said he had the smile of an angel, the body of a god, and the mind of a devil. Leo says that's the loveliest thing anyone has ever said to him. Javi says last night was wonderful and crazy. They kiss, and Leo asks him to stay for breakfast and watch his show. Javi decides to ignore Gabby's texts and stay. He complains about how cheap his cousin is and says he'll need to find a new gig soon as she barely pays him minimum wage. Leo orders them breakfast and receives a cupcake with it. Javi asks about the show, and he gives him the basic rundown of its history. He says he has 3 months of scripts on his trusty laptop. Javi says his fans would probably kill to see them, but Leo says they may lose interest if they knew what was coming so that intel can't fall into the wrong hands. They soon decide neither is hungry and jump back in bed. Later, Leo puts on fancy pajamas to watch the show and finds Javi on his laptop in bed. Leo points out they have a big screen TV, but Javi wants to watch it up close and in bed. They begin streaming the show, and Abe is the voiceover introducing it. After they finish it, Javi gets dressed and tells Leo the show was great. Javi says he needs to get to work, but he had a great time. Leo says he did, too, and they plan to do this again soon. Leo admits he hasn't felt like this in a long time. Javi hasn't felt like this ever, and opening up to him about losing his mom really helped. Javi kisses Leo goodbye and heads out. As EJ is about to bite into the cupcake in Horton Square, Paulina appears and smacks the back of his head. He drops the cupcake and knows she's angry about Kat, but she doesn't have to take it out of the poor cupcake. Paulina says she has a bone to pick with him over his son calling her daughter a cheating slut. EJ knows Johnny feels terrible about what happened but suggests they need to stay out of this situation. Stay tuned and subscribe the channel.